Sergeant Su snapped out orders. Two uniformed officers seized Chiam, pinning his arms behind his back. He shouted for help. In the confusion that followed, Azizu whipped the mysterious package under the long table into his detective kit. Alvin, distracting the sergeant, greeted him with a calm smile. "Good morning, Sergeant. Can we be of assistance?" Sergeant Su jabbed a hand in Chiam's direction. "What is he doing here, Alvin? What's going on?" With a narrowed gaze, he added. "And I want the truth," Alvin answered calmly. "Mr. Chiam asked for our help, and he was just explaining his innocence." The sergeant fired back a cold look. "I'm afraid he's been wasting your time, Alvin. I'm here to arrest him on suspicion of the murder of Professor Elias Hua." Mars scowled. "But that doesn't make sense, Sergeant. The professor was already dead when Mr. Chiam found him. And Mr. Chiam had no reason to murder Professor Hua," Zul argued. "Is that so?" Sergeant Su retorted. "Then why did he evade us last night when we wanted to interview him again? Why did he hide from us all night? I don't think those were the actions of an innocent man," Alvin asked. "How do you know he was here, Sergeant?" "We were watching his home all night, and we put out an alert for his car. It was spotted near here less than half an hour ago." He gave Alvin a wry smile. It wasn't difficult to work out where he might have gone for help. The sergeant swung around to face Chiam. "This is your last chance to tell us the truth. If you lie to us now, it's not going to look good for you in court. Take us through your movement last night." "I've already told you," Chiam protested, struggling against the grip of the two policemen. "Tell me again," the sergeant commanded. "I had dinner at 6 at a cafe near the university," Chiam explained. "Can someone verify that?" "No, I was alone. And then I went back to the university about 7 o'clock. I picked up some papers from my room." "Did anyone see you there?" "No, the corridor was deserted." "Why did you need those papers?" "Because I was going to discuss them with Professor Hua at 8 in his office. That was the arrangement we made." "We checked his desk diary," the sergeant commented. "There was nothing in it about an 8 o'clock meeting with you last night." Disbelief shadowed Chiam's face. "Maybe he didn't write it down. I don't know. He could be a bit vague at times. It was an internal meeting, just the professor and me. Maybe he didn't think it was important enough." He rushed on shakily. "When I got to Professor Hua's office, he was dead, and I could see that someone had searched his room." Sergeant Su crossed his arms. "What for, do you think?" "How would I know?" Chiam flung back. "I'm sure he didn't keep any money in there." The sergeant's voice grew cold. "Nevertheless, Mr. Chiam, you poisoned him." Chiam shouted back. "I didn't kill the professor." "Consider the facts, Mr. Chiam. Nobody saw you at the cafe. Nobody saw you at the university. You went to the professor's room, murdered him, made it look though his office had been disturbed, and then caught us." Chiam shouted louder. "No, that's not true." The sergeant gave him a sly smile, then explained why a hypodermic needle and a small quantity of methanol was found hidden under your desk. Alvin swung his gaze from the sergeant to Cham's horrified face. Wailing and Rafe stared at the young man in shock. Apita, Mas, and Azizu watched on disbelievingly. Sergeant Su continued, "As I'm sure you know, Mr. Cham, methanol is a type of industrial alcohol found in copy machine fluids, paint thinner, varnish, even windshield wiper fluid. According to our autopsy results, the dose you injected into Professor's bloodstream was enough to kill him instantly." Cham said nothing. His mouth went slack. He stopped struggling. His desperate gaze fell on Alvin. When at last he spoke, the words streamed out in terror. "Someone has set me up. I don't know who or why, but I'm innocent. I don't know anything about methanol. I don't know how to give someone an injection. I didn't want to kill Professor Hua. Why would I? I've been his assistant for 3 years. He was very good to me. You've got to help me, Alvin. You've got to help me." The sergeant let out a grim laugh. "I don't think you need Alvin. A good lawyer is what you need now, Mr. Cham." He snapped his fingers. "Okay, man. Take him out to the car. We are done here." Cham, still pleading for help, was escorted out to the police car waiting in the car park. When they were alone, Sergeant Su turned to the investigators. Before he could speak, Alvin threw his first question. "You heard what he said, Sergeant, about the poison. How would someone like Howard Cham obtain methanol?" "Alvin, there are plenty of laboratories in the university. He could have stolen some easily." "But you heard that he said about the professor, about having no reason to kill him," Alvin argued. "What do you expect him to say?" Sergeant Su countered in a mocking tone. "I confess?" Wailing politely asked, "Isn't it possible that he is being framed for the murder, Sergeant? Anyone could have planted the poison under his desk." Rafe backed her up. "It wouldn't be the first time that someone has been set up for murder." Sergeant Su offered an indulgent smile. "I know you all enjoy solving murders, but I'm afraid this time the job has already been done for you. Howard Cham is guilty. Leaving that needle and poison under his desk was a fatal mistake." "Sergeant," Alvin said quietly, "if he were guilty, why would he leave that needle and the methanol under his desk where you'd find it? Who knows what goes on in the mind of a murderer?" Sergeant Su tossed back sarcastically. "Maybe he thought he could dispose of them later, when the heat was off the police had gone. I don't know." He stepped forward towards the door. It was clear he wasn't interested in discussing the matter. "I have to get him down to headquarters and formally charge him." Alvin held his gaze. "Sergeant, I happen to think there's more to the murder than meets the eye. We'd like to investigate it further, if it's all the same to you." The sergeant controlled his anger. "Alvin, let me warn you," his gaze swept the others, "and the rest of you. I know you've done some good detective work in the past, but this case is closed already. Do you understand? We have our murderer in custody. If you start messing around in police affairs, you'll force me to take official action against you. Is that clear?" Alvin tried to diffuse the tension. "It's perfectly clear, Sergeant. The last thing we want to do is mess around. But what if we could offer, he hesitated, searching for the right words. What if we could offer a fresh perspective? Alvin's right, Raphael agreed. We can still do some thinking, can't we? The subject is closed. The sergeant snapped. Just don't get in our way or there'll be consequences. He flung open the door and slammed it behind him. It seemed too much that everything in Alvin's headquarters rattled. Apita peered through the window and watched the policeman go. Why is he always so inflexible? She wondered with a shake of her head. Azizu turned to Alvin. So that's it? He asked. We're off the case before we even got started? Alvin gave him one of his mysterious smiles. Far from it, Azizu, he said. Far from it.